Hey guys, thanks for checking us on out here. Much appreciated. If you like the Tobin and Leroy radio show, and why wouldn't you? You guys can check us out at youtube.com/TicketMiami. Go subscribe over there. You guys can get the best of the show that we do every single morning from 6 to 10 a.m. Should be streaming live there pretty soon as well. Also, got some new Porpoise Pod content coming out this week for all my Doll fans out there as we wind on down to the first showdown of the season against the New England Patriots. But want to hit a little hoops here. So Tim Hardaway, he is going into the Hall of Fame this week. Long overdue for Timmy. He is going in to the Hall of Fame. Now he is going in with basically Run TMC. He is not going in with representation. You don't really go into the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not like baseball where you wear a cap. But the presenters, basically, he has everybody represented from his basketball past except for the Miami Heat. Nonetheless, we know that his number here is in the rafters with the Miami Heat. I don't believe it is with Golden State. Whatever. But Tim did an interview with Ira Winderman, longtime Miami Heat beat reporter for the Sun-Sentinel, and had some interesting things to say. Had some interesting things to say in regards to Kyle Lowry, who obviously has a fascinating offseason that's been going on. He has been, him and his team have been putting out a lot of workout material for the offseason. As we know, Pat Riley recently, at the end of the season, shouldn't say recently, at the end of the season, called out Kyle Lowry for the kind of shape that he was in. He was the Godfather.
Kyle had a challenging year for a lot of reasons, and I don't have to get into them. They're personal. They're other things. But he had a challenging year with the move and everything. Earlier in the season, he had some injuries, missed some time, and then there were some personal issues. But look at the bottom line with me and for me, as far as hoping that you can get the most out of a player. I don't have to go back and talk about it, is that you got to be in world-class shape. You just have to be. And that is something, as you get older, there's a point of diminishing returns as you get a little bit older, that when you're younger, you can do things in spite of that. But I'm not saying that when he was younger, he wasn't in the kind of condition that he was in this year, but he definitely is going to have to address that, and it will be addressed. And to get to what the perfect, overall conditioning for him to be successful, because he plays the game, in a manner where he needs his strength and his size. He's not Tyler Herro. He's not that lean kind of guy, but I think he can be in better shape, and I do believe that the pain of losing and the reminders that you send out about this, might change his mind a little bit. But I do think that he can be in better shape next year, and we'll address it, and we'll try to help him as best as we can, because it's not easy when you get a little bit older. So, but contrary to what he says, I don't think it was a wasted year. He said it was a wasted year. I mean, I've had that feeling myself as a coach, when you've done as much as you can do, and then you just sort of it was championship or bust for Kyle. He came here with that notion, and he's very, very disappointed in the fact that we couldn't get to the finals and win it. So he'll do whatever he has to do, I think, Ira.
So Pat Riley's done this, and he's done this from time to time with plenty of players. Done it with Dwayne Wade, done it with Goran Dragic, where a player is entering an elder stage of their career, and he believes wholly in world-class shape. That is a Pat Riley, mantra, the whole thing that goes on. Hardest working, best condition. You guys know the rest. And Kyle Lowry got the call out of this with a season where he called it wasted, that he has only so many years. He only plays for championships. And he came down here. The Heat were a shot away for playing for the championship. And a big part of maybe why they weren't able to get over the hump is because he wasn't healthy. And I think the thing is that is frustrating, is that a lot of people are looking at this Heat team and they're wondering, did they do enough? Are they going to be improved? All these explanations. And, recently with the Donovan Mitchell news that came out, with them not making not getting Donovan Mitchell. Some reports are coming out that said they didn't even make an offer for Donovan Mitchell. I don't know how much I believe that, but they are now relying upon, when it comes to what this Heat team is going to be, the improvement that they can have from within. And part of that improvement is going to be a more reliable Kyle Lowry from a physicality standpoint. It's not really a matter of statistics or I think him shooting a ton more, although more would be a little bit better. I think it's more of a case of, can you have a Kyle Lowry who gets through this season? And Tim Hardaway said some interesting points in regards to Lowry. Because at one point, as Ira points out in this fantastic article with them, where Tim Hardaway had a 1-year, $12 million contract with the Heat, and that he had contract that was tied into weigh-ins. Now, I don't think they can do that these days, but Kyle Lowry even said recently in an interview with Vince Carter, where he was telling Spo, about this whole Heat culture thing. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm going to do grown-ass man stuff. And I think the Heat are probably like, cool, we'll accommodate that. But then after you have a postseason where you're not healthy, and we know that Kyle Lowry was dealing with some stuff and has some stuff off the court that he says he's still dealing with and that it hasn't really gone away with. The only thing that thereafter that he can really control is physically, right? You can't really control whatever this personal issue that Kyle is going through that we don't know. We are left in kind of the dark, and that's his prerogative. He doesn't have to tell anybody what it is. That's fine. That's what it is in today's day and age. But one of the things that Riley can change the narrative on, or can say that the player can control, is what they are physically. And he's looked tremendous in this offseason with the workouts at the UFC Performance Center. He was there for a few weeks, and now still is getting the working with his trainer, Travis Wallace. And their little term, brick by brick. And it seems like he is, even the UFC put out a really cool montage of Kyle Lowry working out at their facility. So listen, the narrative is out there. Kyle Lowry is getting himself into really, really good shape. But this was an interesting thing from Tim Hardaway, getting back to the legend who's going to the Hall this week. He said, I'm glad you asked that question when I asked him about the weight that the call out from Pat Riley. He says, I've been asked this question at least 10 times this year by friends and by people that said, Pat put Kyle Lowry out there to dry and said something bad. I said, no, he didn't. I'm going to tell you what Pat Riley said. Pat Riley's saying that he's not in shape. Pat Riley's saying that he needs to stop getting injured and so he can play and help the team. And getting in shape prevents all injuries. So he doesn't feel like Pat Riley is fat shaming Kyle Lowry. He is just saying that you need to get into better shape so you can keep yourself durable, which is a thing that the Heat believe in with a lot of their older athletes, and Kyle Lowry is up there, and that cannot be denied. But he also told Ira, he says, quote, I want you to write this. Kyle Lowry is not fat. He's not fat and overweight. He wears these football pads under him, so he looks bigger. He's way slimmer than you think he is, and I've been telling folks for the longest time, and everybody's like, no, he's overweight. This guy is overweight, and he needs to stay healthy to be in shape. So for him to go out there and defend Kyle Lowry, who himself has accepted this whole thick mantra this summer, but knows that the Heat is expecting more of him when it comes to the way he looks, getting through not really the grind of the regular season. It was a playoff injury. This is not something that really hit him, even with the whole thing of him taking time away, right? Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. We'll never know. It could have happened if he was healthy the whole way through and got hurt. Maybe. Look, Tyler Herro is 23 and, is spry and full of life, and he got hurt in the playoffs and wasn't able to get the whole way through. It happens. It happens to guys in different ways, in different shapes and forms. It's just a matter of you have to keep yourself ready at the most optimal time. Does that mean a Heat team that does more maintenance with Kyle Lowry throughout the year? Because they do this with Jimmy Butler. Like, Jimmy Butler will miss 20-plus games a year sometimes just because, there's nagging injuries. There's an ankle thing that's not working. He had the tailbone thing this year, which he re-aggravated like the first game that he came back. Like, he had some really unfortunate knick-knack injuries, but that's really what Jimmy Butler is that he, once the playoffs are there and they're down at the table, he gets to that playing time. Dwayne Wade was like this. For all the crap that Dwayne Wade got for missing games and maintenance program and all that type of stuff, Dwayne Wade did not miss playoff games. Dwayne Wade was available for the postseason. And I think that could be an interesting thing with the Heat. Looking at Kyle Lowry is, what is the point going to be? Obviously, personal stuff aside, with the health stuff, and to keep him as dynamic as possible throughout the year. Because look, the one thing that you can say for all the Heat, the talk of the Heat being thin up front, which is true, they have an abundance of guards and have a lot of people that really can take this role and maybe can guide Kyle Lowry through the season. And a lot of people thought that this Heat team last year was going to be like this. You remember Zach Lowe famously said he thought this was going to be a team that was going to be in the lower tier of the East and wasn't going to be built for the regular season. Well, maybe that's the way that they will go about this upcoming year, is that they will treat their older stars like precious objects and make sure that they're as healthy and ready as possible for that postseason. Because for right now, there's not really going to be a big change, right? Like, this isn't going to be a team that has to deal with a lot of continuity issues outside of Victor Oladipo probably getting a lot more playing time. Most of these guys and all of these guys have all played together. So that could be an interesting way that they go about it too, is that we are sitting here, we're looking at the roster construction, what to look at, what are the priorities for this team as they get to the postseason next year and not be burnt out, which felt very much like it was in 2021 when they got swept by the Milwaukee Bucks. Hardaway also had an interesting thing about this with Kyle Lowry. He says he needs to stop falling. That's why he's getting hurt. And I'm going to say this. I love Kyle Lowry. I love what he does on the court, but I wish he would stop flopping and keep that to a minimum. And that the flopping is getting him hurt. You know, the flopping is out here, and it's keeping him it's keeping him out of the lineup, the style he plays. I don't think Kyle Lowry can stop doing that. I think Kyle Lowry is who he is in regards to that. He is a smaller defender. It did feel like to a lot of people he was getting beat a lot more last year. But again, this was a postseason where was his lower body there to really stay in front of people? I don't know. But he always has that savviness to step in front of people, to take charges. And the thing with the Heat is that's not going to go away. I mean, like, the idea that Kyle Lowry takes charges, he's always done that. He does flop around. He does gimmick the referees. He's always in their ear. He's chatting them up the entire game. And then you add on top of it the idea that the Heat also really like this from a defense standpoint, to get turnovers as they have their guys go in there and take charges. We saw what the numbers were last year. They dwarfed everybody else's in the league at charges taken. So some interesting stuff there from Tim Hardaway. In the meanwhile, for another guard, another guy who might be sharing the backcourt next year with Kyle Lowry, Tyler Herro. Tyler Herro continues his offseason of bulking up and hulking up. And I got to say, look, I think I made fun of this a lot by my co-host, Leroy Horde, that Tyler Herro, not that swole. I disagree. I feel like Tyler Herro is looking swole AF, that he's looking tremendous. This has been the summer of the workout for the Miami Heat, because we've had Jimmy Butler, world traveling with dreads, working his ass off. Bam Adebayo, world traveling, taking threes in Europe and all that good jazz, working out with Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry, we just went over everything he's been doing. Victor Oladipo, he has turned his Instagram into a sports movie. It's beautiful. And Tyler Herro, who looks like he's getting himself real beefy. Got Max Strus flying through the air with the grace of ease. Really, the only people I haven't really seen anything from has been like Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent. I feel like it's been very quiet on there, and Duncan Robinson, of course. It's been very quiet on their front. But Tyler Herro, who last week is telling people keep the same energy after the Donovan Mitchell trades don't come through. We still don't have anything on his upcoming extension or any news with that. So that's going to be an interesting thing to peep, is what is this version of Tyler Herro going to look like? Again, this man is going to be 23 years old in January and still has a lot of growth that can come from his game. And I think that, for the Heat fans who didn't want them to trade for Donovan Mitchell because they believe that it's not that big of a split between Donovan and Tyler Herro, this is going to be a big year for him to prove it. I think that Tyler has shown himself to be a wonderful player in the regular season. He had big moments his rookie year in the playoffs, but he needs to definitely, I think, is going into one of these years where he needs to use this regular season to I think, do a couple things. Take this new physique. He needs to get to the line. He needs to get to the line more. He needs to show that he can draw that contact, play through contact, And I think if he gets to that point, much to his guy Devin Booker, if he can get to that level, we're talking about, this guy can grow into elite scoring level. But until he gets to that point, and he needs, as Pat Riley says, half of the paycheck needs to go to Bam for what Tyler Herro's doing. He still has areas that he has to grow. But it's 23. Like there's supposed to be time for that growth to come. But that to me would be just a huge element if he could add that to his game this year, and it would be a monster thing in the postseason, because there was a huge drop off there in the postseason from regular season to postseason. Every stat line for him offensively was off a cliff in the postseason, including his 3-point shooting. So seeing all this improvement from a physical standpoint is very, very encouraging.